This is Rummy's Corner. Coming up on the 22nd of November from the ANB Arena in Riyadh, Ring Magazine presents the outstanding Ring 4 card, which will be available worldwide only on DAZN. The stack card features 4 different title fights across 4 different weight classes, and this should be a great boxing event with a lot of interesting matchups. First up, in a battle for the vacant WBO lightweight championship between undefeated boxers, Sam Noakes will square off against Abdullah Mason. Next up, we have a unification bout at junior bantamweight, where undefeated WBA champion Fernando Martinez will go up against the undefeated, unified WBC WBO champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Then in yet another battle between 2 undefeated prize fighters, WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr. will face former 2-division world champion Devin The Dream Haney. And finally, in the main event of the evening, Anthony Yarde will challenge undefeated WBC light heavyweight champion David Benavidez. Let's take a closer look at these 4 championship fights. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. I like this fight a lot. You have 2 young undefeated lightweights competing for a vacant strap. Noakes is 28 years old. He has a perfect 17-0 record with 15 wins by way of knockout, and he is the number 2 ranked lightweight according to the WBO. Mason is only 21 years old. He has a perfect 19-0 record with 17 wins by way of knockout, and he is currently ranked number 1 by the WBO. As their records indicate, both of these guys are accustomed to winning prior to the final bell, and this one should produce a lot of fireworks. Last time out back in May, Noakes faced Patrick Balaj. Noakes dropped him early in the opening round, but Balaj recovered and did his best to make a fight of it. Noakes likes to work behind the jab and apply pressure, where he is capable of stringing together some nice combinations. That was all on display here, where Noakes was efficient and usually pressing forward. Things came to an end in round 3 after Balaj took a knee after suffering an injury to his wrist, and the fight was over. For Mason, he last fought back in June against Jeremiah Nakatila. Mason is a tricky southpaw with great balance and movement, and he was able to largely control the range right out of the gate. Mason is very patient, he has very fast hands, and he is a clever counter-puncher with a smooth, sneaky delivery. Mason was also showing an educated, sharp jab, and he started finding a nice groove in round 3. That trend continued into the 4th, and by this point Mason was unloading with powerful shots that were having a visible impact, and Nakatila was unable to continue after round 4. I think this one has the potential to be a terrific fight with a lot of action, where both boxers will be as determined and motivated as can be, each man having the confidence that comes with the territory of being undefeated with a major world title in the balance. I do think there will be fireworks in this one, and I believe both guys will have their moments. But right now, I definitely believe Mason is far more polished with superior all-around technical ability. Noakes is a tough guy, but I think he is simply going up against a more talented prize fighter, and I believe it will show. I like Mason by 8th round stoppage, where I think his blend of skills, smarts, and power will see him to victory, where his ability to control the fighting distance will be the big difference in this one. Bam Rodriguez versus Fernando Martinez. This unification bout is for 3 of the big 4, the Ring Magazine Championship, and a rightful claim to the lineage at 115. Last time out, Martinez had a rematch against Kazuto Ioka back in May. Martinez won their first encounter to unify the IBF and WBA titles, and had since relinquished the IBF belt. It was another fun and competitive contest between the 2. Martinez overcame a knockdown in their rematch, ultimately winning the fight by 12-round unanimous decision to retain his WBA title. For Rodriguez, his last fight was back in July, a unification bout against Fumilela Cafu. For the most part, Bam was outworking and out-hustling Cafu throughout the contest, although Cafu did prove sneaky with his counter shots. Rodriguez was steadily able to wear him down as the fight progressed into the later rounds. Things came to an end when Rodriguez drilled Cafu with a mean right hand that had him badly hurt, and after the two became entangled and crash-landed onto the canvas, Cafu's corner stopped the fight. Right now, I honestly have a difficult time imagining Bam losing to anyone currently competing at 115. Martinez is a quality fighter with a very good skill set, but Bam is simply operating at a higher level. Rodriguez is widely viewed as one of the elite pound-for-pound talents in the sport today, and I believe this will become abundantly clear when these two square off. Last time out against the 36-year-old Ioka, a future Hall of Famer who relied on an economic approach, Martinez began showing signs of fatigue, and he was dropped in the 10th. My gut feeling here is that Bam will be able to gradually break him down before finishing him off late. So for my official prediction, I am taking Rodriguez by 9th round stoppage. Martinez is a very talented boxer, but right now Bam is on another level, and I believe it will show. Indeed, Bam has all the tools and talent that he could very well be a future pound-for-pound king in the making. Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney. This is the most intriguing matchup on the card for me, and I am super excited for this one in particular. Haney has far more big fight experience, and he is the superior technical boxer going into this one. Haney has outstanding all-around boxing ability, and everything he does well is predicated on his terrific versatile jab that works in conjunction with his excellent all-around movement. Haney is the former undisputed world lightweight champion. He is a former champion at 140, and now he has the opportunity to become a 3-division champion against Norman. Norman was promoted from WBO interim to the Real McCoy prior to his fight against Derek Cuevas back in March. Norman won that fight by 3rd round stoppage. And then last time out in June, Norman made the second defense of his WBO welterweight title against Jin Sasaki. Norman flattened him with a beautifully timed counter left hook to score the knockout in round 5. For Haney, his last fight was back in May on the Times Square card, and Haney won a lopsided 12-round unanimous decision in that one against Jose Ramirez, in a fight that was largely lacking in action. Had this fight been scheduled prior to his bout against Ryan Garcia, I would have picked Haney in this one without hesitation. Haney is a very gifted boxer with a terrific jab and excellent movement and ability. Of course, that fight against Garcia was one that was overturned. Originally, Garcia was awarded a majority decision in that one, where he had dropped Haney 3 times. But the fight was ultimately changed to a no contest after Garcia tested positive for a banned substance. So officially, Haney still is undefeated, but against Ramirez, Haney looked like a different fighter, one who was far more reluctant to engage and take risks. While I still believe Haney is the more talented of the two, I can't shake the feeling that Haney lost something that night against Garcia. Officially, the bout never happened, but the fact remains that it did happen, and I'm not sure that Haney has ever mentally coped with the beating he sustained in that one, and I believe it showed against Ramirez. I still believe Haney should probably win this one if his head is on straight. But Norman has a lot of power, and I can't shake this feeling, call it a hunch, that Norman is going to get to Haney at some point in the first half of the contest, and that Haney will sort of mentally check out. For my official prediction in this one, I am taking Norman by 12-round decision, where I believe he will score a couple of knockdowns along the way. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. On paper at least, some may view this as the least competitive matchup of the 4 title fights on the card, but I do not necessarily believe that is the case here. Yarde is the only competitor in the 4 title fights who is not undefeated. Indeed, Yarde has suffered 3 losses in his career to date, but upon closer examination, one of those losses was a razor-thin split decision loss against Lyndon Arthur, which he twice avenged, and the other 2 were stoppage losses against Sergey Kovalev and Artur Beterbiev, 2 of the most powerful light heavyweight punchers of all time. Last time out back in April, Yarde won a 12-round unanimous decision in his trilogy bout against Arthur. Benavidez is a perfect 30-0 with 24 wins inside the distance. But since making the jump to 175, he has 2 fights with no wins inside the distance. Last year, Benavidez won a 12-round unanimous decision in his light heavyweight debut against Alexander Gvozdyk. Then in his most recent bout back in February, he won another 12-round unanimous decision, this time against undefeated David Morrell. Since then, Benavidez was promoted from WBC interim champion to the real McCoy, and this will be his first defense of that title. Benavidez is the rightful favorite going into this one, but I believe Yarde is a live underdog here. Yarde is tough and skilled and powerful, and he has some big fight experience, so isn't likely to be overwhelmed by the moment. All that being said, unless Yarde can get off to a fast start and hurt Benavidez early, I still think this will wind up being an uphill battle for him, especially if David can make it to the halfway point relatively unscathed. I do believe that will be the case here, more or less, and I think Benavidez will be able to separate himself from Yarde in the second half of the contest. So for my official prediction in this one, I am taking David Benavidez by a clear 12-round decision. So as a quick recap, I like Abdullah Mason by 8th round stoppage against Sam Noakes. I am taking Bam Rodriguez by 9th round knockout against Martinez. I'm picking Brian Norman Jr. to win a close decision against Devin Haney. And finally, I like David Benavidez by 12-round decision against Anthony Yarde. But as always, what the hell do I know? I ain't exactly Quasimodo over here. But whatever happens, this is one hell of a stacked card, and I sure am fired up to watch. Best of luck to all 8 boxers competing for a world championship on Fight Night. Just around the corner, November 22nd, live, only on DAZN, Ring 4. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.